Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's still newer television shows, What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. So whether you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, or you feel stuck and want to get unstuck in your life or your job or your business, all of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly, and today's guest is no exception. Our guest today is Christina Frake, F-NTP, which you're going to find out what that means shortly. Christina and I actually worked together 14 years ago, and I don't think either of us would have predicted the somewhat similar journeys, though not identical, that we've traveled after moving on from those roles and finding our life's purposes. So what does Christina do? She works with clients who want to imagine a life where they trust themselves around food and relationships, where they love themselves unconditionally, they have more peace, joy, and freedom. They're calm, they are valued, they are fulfilled. Christina combines nutritional therapy, wellness, and mindset practices to help middle-aged women create a healthy, balanced life filled with purpose, freedom, and joy, while empowering them to overcome limiting beliefs that keep them stuck in a place they were never meant to stay. Christina's relevant educational background includes an AAS, which is an Associate of Applied Science in Food Nutrition Science, and she studied holistic nutrition through the Nutrition Therapy Association and holds numerous related certifications. I'm so excited she's here with us today. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Christina Frake. So yay!
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara Ann, for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. Like
you.
I said, I can't believe it was just like I just saw you.
Yeah.
And here we are all these years later in these different roles. And I know I couldn't have imagined doing this 14 years ago, although I had some dreams, let alone when I was a child. And I don't know, I mean, actually I know you had some interest in this field.
I did.
But I don't know that young Christina had those thoughts in her mind. So what made you decide to go this particular route in your professional journey?
So interesting. I always wanted to be a nurse growing up. When I was a little girl, everybody would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would always say a nurse. And it wasn't until, in my 20s and 30s, I realized that I just really like to take care of people. I just want to make sure everybody's okay all the time. I just, you have enough food, you have enough water, your basic creature comforts. And, when we were working in Travelers, I always cooked. I don't know if you ever remember that, but I would always cook. I would always bring stuff to the luncheons, the potluck luncheons, and, everyone would say, well, what's the recipe for this and what's the recipe for that? And so for me, it was just a progression that maybe took me a little longer to get to where I needed to be, but I was very interested in nutrition. And so I went to school for dietetics. And then subsequent to that, I went to school for holistic nutrition, which is the Functional Nutrition Therapy Association, which is the FNTP. And I found my way. I found my home. And now with this latest certification, I'm a health, wellness, and mindset coach. And so I'm pretty well-rounded. I get to help people really with every aspect of their life.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And to the extent that you're comfortable, your journey has had its own challenges, which is one of the reasons that led you in this direction. So I said, to the extent you're comfortable, if you want to share with our viewers, because there's people out there that may not even realize that they're experiencing some of the things you experienced that led you on this path.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So the first thing that happened was I became really sick. When I say really sick, everything had almost shut down on me. I had gained an enormous amount of weight for my body size. I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up with these red circles around my eyes. I was depressed. I was I don't know who I was. I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And that, after quite some time, going to several doctors, I was the person that they said, well, there's really nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And I kept pressing and pressing and pressing, and finally I had one blood test done, and they let me know that I had Hashimoto's, which is a hypothyroid condition, which I thought was, the main cause of what was going on with me. It wasn't, that coupled with menopause, which, which is
always fun.
Every woman's,
everybody just
nightmare.
loves menopause.
And so that coupled with, the menopause and just, different changes in my life, everything came crashing down in my life, and I was at a place where I was lost. I was kind of stuck and didn't know where to go. Couldn't find the right help. I couldn't find any doctor who could help me. I just kept, going like a rat on a wheel. I just kept going to doctor and doctor, and then kept saying, well, it's just your thyroid, you're fine.
Yeah, and we didn't know, like I didn't know the term before. Now I know it to be gaslighting,
Yeah,
but
for
when
sure.
you're constantly being told, well, we don't know, or it's in your brain, or take antidepressives, these are not answers. These are not out of the box thinking. And you decided to get out of the box.
I did. My doctor prescribed me an antidepressant, and I refused to take it. And then I had another doctor that said to me, it's your diet. And I said, I don't know that you know who you're talking to. So, I kind of had to go it alone. And I did. And once I started to heal, I thought, you know what, I need to do this. I need to help other people heal. I need to let them know that there's a different way. So that's the story.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you find the courage? I mean, because this was personally affecting you.
For sure.
And then you saw what you were able to do for yourself. How did you find the courage to then say, okay, I'm going to take this and help others on this journey as well?
So first, my husband and my family are the most supportive people in the world. I would have never been able to take this journey if it weren't for them. So that said, a lot of it was just, my drive to let people know that there's something else out there, that they can get help through other avenues, and they're not just stuck with doctors telling them there's nothing wrong with you over and over again. So that's my biggest plus.
Okay. Now you mentioned your husband and your family. So one of my questions is usually, so who were your three biggest influences on helping you along this journey? And it sounds like they were a huge part of it.
Huge, yeah. My husband was my biggest cheerleader. He and it still is today. I had several jobs along the way, third career, fourth career. And, I kept thinking, when am I going to find where I need to be? And I was working in a school, in an elementary school. I was an intervener for deafblind. That was my second career. And I remember I started nutrition school. I was a month into it, and I came home, and I said to my husband, so if this is what I'm going to be doing this point forward, wouldn't it make sense for me not to work in this job anymore that I'm currently in? And he says, so what are you asking me? And I said, he goes, are you asking me to quit? And I said, well, I just feel like I need to put all of my eggs into this basket because this is where I'm going. And that was a decision that was made that night. And, I was done, finished the job, and a month later, and I was free to pursue what I needed to pursue for the people that I needed to reach.
So I've read a little bit about who the people are that you're trying to reach, but let me fix this real quick. There we go. Without sharing names, who are some of the clients, like in generalizations, that you've worked with that have benefited from finding you and the universe actually I prefer that God and the universe led them to you, because they were probably experiencing all of what you were experiencing, if not more.
For sure. So one of the reasons, and I'll lead into that, one of the reasons I decided to take the coaching certification was because in my nutrition practice, people would come to me wanting to lose weight, and that's great. But after a few months of them following the protocols and doing all the things, they weren't losing the weight. So I started looking at other things. I started looking at root causes. I started looking at environment. I started looking at their relationships, and I started asking questions about, what's happening in your life? Are you happy? Who cooks in your home? Who does the grocery shopping? Because all those things matter. And so little by little, I started to get, little pieces of the puzzle. There are some clients that still have some unresolved trauma. That plays a huge part in what you're eating, right? Because it's the past coming into the present. And so, it's women who find themselves in a place where they're getting triggered, right? They're getting triggered by the sleeve of Oreos. They're getting triggered by, they're someone who walks down the street and says something to them and they get upset. Or it's women who don't know how to set healthy boundaries. Women who, have helped their kids and worked with their kids and done everything for everyone, and now there's no time for them. And plus they don't even know who they are anymore. And so it's usually women that are in those parameters that come to me and say, there's got to be something better. And there is. And so that's where I come in, and I have the ability to show them how wonderful their life can be, how vibrant they can be again.
Which is awesome. Yeah. So I guess you mentioned a number of different resources, and there are people out there who may very well want to look into this as a career. What are some of the resources that you would recommend for someone who was interested in this field?
First, I think nutrition is a huge piece. Nutrition is probably one of the foundations, I would say, to really understand. And so nutrition is not really cut and dry either, right? So it depends on your body. What's right for me is not going to be right for you. And so my clients benefit from me taking the time to work with them to try and figure out what's right for them. Not all foods are right for everybody. Right. So that, I would have to say, that's first. Second, be empathetic. Just empathetic and having empathy for other people is so very, very important. Which is why I went through the coaching certification. So I would say those two things to begin with: a coaching certification as well as a nutrition certification.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Believe it or not, we're at the halfway point. So it's time for a break.
Perfect.
And we'll be back after the commercial break with more with Christina Frake.
Thank you.
Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and our guest today, Christina Frake. Now we've talked about what you do, but you have a company.
I do.
That you've started. So tell us about your company, how you came up with the name.
So the name of my business is The Healthful Body, and I came up with the name because healthful and body is all encompassed. So in order to have a healthy body, you have to have a healthful body. And so that's just how it came about. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, which for you is mind, body, and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit, soul, everything, yeah.
And how long have you been in business?
I've been in business 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is so you're past that small business, not sure if you're going to make it or not time.
I am.
Which is a great place to be.
It's a white knuckle place sometimes.
So what makes you unique compared to other people who are offering services in this space?
So for me, I'm not sure that anyone else offers what I offer. It's a very well-rounded program that I offer. I have walked the walk. I have been through what just about every woman who comes to me for has been through. And so that in and of itself is very helpful for them because people just want to feel connected. And I think there aren't a whole lot of places that women can feel connected. So I have that connection with women. Once they sit down and I offer a free 20-minute consultation. And so, people are, sometimes they're a little you know, a little squeamish about calling, but once they get on the phone with me, within 5 minutes, they're like, oh, this is everything. So that's what makes me different. I'm very well-rounded, mind, body, spirit. It's the whole body. It's not just one piece.
And there are good coaches out there that may very well do a good job in this space, but I know I'm probably one of many women who really prefers to work with somebody who has had a similar journey.
For sure.
Who can empathize with me
For sure.
on an individual level in terms of the things that I've gone through, the gaslighting that I've experienced, the frustration, things like that. So
For sure.
I could see where that would be a huge part of what makes you unique.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What's one myth about this industry that you would like to, I guess for lack of better words, debunk out there?
Well, it's not popular,
Okay.
but change takes time.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest myth, really, because everyone thinks they're going to get in, they're going to, you know, start a program, and within 3 months, they're going to be healed, or they're going to be in a better place, or they might, you know, it's just going to work for them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll tell you, and you know this, Barbara Ann, is that healing is not linear.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that that's the biggest myth.
It's funny, I actually have a picture on my wall in my office, and it says how people want change to happen, and it's a straight line across.
Yeah.
It's like how change actually
Yeah.
really happens, and it's
Yeah.
like little squealies, and it's like up and down, and you go
Yeah.
back, and then you go forward, and you go back again, and basically looks like a bird
Yeah.
nest before you end at the end.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Exactly.
But that's healing. That's how it happens. Yeah,
Otherwise, everybody would do it.
it's correct. Correct.
So, I guess what's one thing you wish you had known as you went out on your own that you would like to share with others who are thinking about going out on their own? Because being a business owner does have its pros and its cons.
For sure. What do I wish that I had known? That's a tough question. So I am very empathetic. I am a practitioner. I have to talk about my downfall, and this is something that you know, colleagues and we talk about all the time. It's marketing. So when you're a one-man show, and you know, you have your business on your own, and there's no one else, you pretty much have to do everything on your own. And so I don't think I was prepared to do all that. I'm not necessarily creative in the graphic standpoint, so that would be it. That would be it for me.
And I think almost every one of our viewers who owns a business can probably empathize with that statement.
Oh, for sure.
The amount of work that it takes, because you have an expertise.
Right.
But then there's all of these other aspects of
Right.
operating a business
Right.
that aren't necessarily within your scope.
Right.
I mean, personally, I know I had to bring on somebody recently.
Right.
I'm like, with everything I've got going on, I don't have time to do social media.
Right.
But it's really important.
It's really important.
And so, yeah.
It's really important.
So you hear that? It's not just you. We can empathize here with
yes,
you.
It drags you down sometimes.
And it's interesting that you brought up technology, because we didn't talk about your previous career. You were in technology
Right?
too. So
Isn't that funny?
So it's challenging, you know, even when you do have some level of expertise.
Yeah.
To find the time to do everything else, and also, you know, maybe you can confirm or deny.
Yeah.
I don't imagine you didn't get into business to post social media or design websites. You got into business because you wanted to help women who had been through what you went through or
Correct.
similar
Yes. Yeah.
to heal from
Yes.
that process.
Right.
And so all that other stuff is all that other stuff.
It's all the other stuff, yes, and and you're right. I'm here as a practitioner. I'm here to help. I'm here to offer my gifts. One of my gifts isn't marketing.
That's all right. It sounds like they're finding you anyway.
They are.
So, in terms of what lies ahead for you in your practice, what are your plans going forward? I mean, because there's so many people out there that could benefit from your services.
Sure.
And I know you're looking at changing it up a little bit.
I am. I'm looking at just incorporating a couple of new packages, a couple of new programs. I'm really interested in courses. I feel like, especially since the pandemic, people are really interested in taking courses. They want to learn about, whatever on their own time. And so I'm actually contemplating working on a course now. I'm not quite sure what it's going to entail, but stay tuned for that. But yeah, I'm really interested in course creation. So my job, right? I want to reach as many people as I possibly can, and I feel like with courses, I'm able to do that. Yeah.
And it sounds like this is your passion, and this is what you plan on doing for
Ever. Yeah.
In terms of finding your why.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. I feel like I have found my why. It's sometimes it takes time to find that why, and you keep going at it, and you keep going at it, and you keep going in the direction. And I have to say, this year has just been. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have found where I am, and be happy where I am.
Which, believe it or not, is the perfect closing note, because we're at time. I know, every week we go, it's been a half hour already, but yeah, it's been a half hour. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, because there's a bravery that comes just with sharing your own story.
For sure.
I know we have your information. What is the best way for people to connect with you and learn more about the Healthful Body and the integrative health and wellness and mindset coaching services that you offer?
Sure. The best way to get a hold of me is, or get in contact with me is Christina at thehealthfulbody.com. It's right there. I'm on Facebook as in The Healthful Body, and I have a website, thehealthfulbody.com.
Awesome. So thank you so much for taking time to be here. And like Christina, we have other exciting guests coming up. Next week, we have a particular special guest, my own sensei. Those of you who watch know I train in martial arts voraciously when I can. And Master Stefano Cinelli of Tsuruki Martial Arts will be with me. Tsuruki Martial Arts is a classical Okinawan karate school. Also known as the Shibu Dojo, we're under the North American Okinawa Goju-Ryu Kenshikai Karate Jutsu Kobojutsu Association. Additionally, we're a Fujin White Crane Qigong branch of the Green Dragon Kuo Shu Quan of Taiwan. I'm better with the Japanese than the Chinese because we do both. Sensei Cinelli began his martial arts training back in 1988 while attending Temple University. He started in Shotokan, which is actually what I did in 90 to 92, under Sensei Teruyuki Ozakai. But in 1992, he began studying USA Goju under Senseis John Ostino Sr. and John Ostino Jr., where he eventually would go on to attain the rank of 6th degree. Then in 2017, and I had already been training with Sensei for 6 years, so he'll talk a little bit about that. He began studying under Luis Morales, as did the rest of us, who is Hanshi of the Kenshikai Okinawan Goju-Ryu Karate Jutsu Kobojutsu Association. So he's over all of North America. And in 2019, he was officially accepted as a student in Branch Dojo of Nai Kenshikai. In 2020, he was finally promoted to 6th Dan. So yes, if you're adding up the math, we are talking about almost over 40 years in the martial arts. And he achieved that 6th Dan in Okinawa Goju-Ryu under the direction of Hanshi Luis Morales, who is the head of the system in the United States. And then the overall head of the system, feel free to Google him, is 10th Dan Grandmaster Tetsuhiro Hokama. He is the head of it, and he is based in Okinawa. Interestingly, this is the only time you're probably going to hear a bunch of titles because the system favors humility, and we all are just called sensei, regardless of rank. And in addition to his drive to learn and fully understand the art and science of martial arts, Sensei Cinelli has been researching, editing, and co-authoring articles, papers, and books on martial arts and martial science. Suffice to say, whether it's Christina, Sensei Cinelli, any of our past or future guests, you really don't want to miss next week or any upcoming episodes of our guests as they share how they figured out their why. As a reminder, the show airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. live and on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. live, and is also available on demand on RVN Television and Roku within a few days of the first airing. So whether you're looking to make changes, big or small, in your life or career, please join us again for more informative and inspirational conversations with guests like Christina, my friend here, who I'm so happy I just got to see after all this time, and learn how these individuals overcame their fears and the obstacles in their path and made changes to find their purpose and live it.